A lot of the internet critics that I gravitated towards back in the day have kind of become part of my past. I don't sit down and regularly watch their content. There was a sameness to their shtick that just kind of got old to me, and I felt like, okay, I've seen them do this. I've seen them do this over and over and over again, and they're not bringing anything fresh to it, and some of them even seem a bit bored themselves with it. That is not the case with the good people over at Red Letter Media. In fact, if anything, I would say that Mike Stacklasa's maybe he is a little bit bored sometimes, but that becomes incorporated into what he's doing. It's part of the joke that he's bored with it. Their reviews have stayed fresh. They've, funnily enough, their content is something that I discovered piece by piece. I like everybody else, sort of gravitated towards the Mr. Plinkett videos when they came out. And then after that, I kind of got into Half in the Bag. And last year, when I was writing my book, and my book is sort of a very heavy subject matter, in order to sort of cool my brain down after writing, I would watch Best of the Worst every day. They're extremely talented guys, and they're guys who, you know, one time I said if James Rolfe was the Steven Spielberg of internet critics, the guy who gives you sort of the stuff that you want, the content that you want, Mike Stacklasa, Jay Bauman, Rich Evans, they are the Stanley Kubricks of internet critics. They give you what you need. Even if you didn't know it, your brain did. So when they announced that they were making another feature film, I donated money. I watched the news they would put out. It became something that I looked forward to as much as any movie that was coming out in the theater. The movie that got released is Space Cop. I have here my my Red Letter Media collection that features not only Space Cop, but Feeding Frenzy and The Recovered, as well as the Red Letter Media Archive DVD that they put out. These guys are great. They're phenomenal. I love Feeding Frenzy. Feeding Frenzy was such a find for me. I bought it not thinking it would even be all that good, and I really enjoyed it. They like to make fun of The Recovered. Oh, it's a terrible horror movie, and we were trying to do something and we failed at it. I disagree completely. While it has a few problems, I think it's great. It's got one moment in it that actually makes me turn my head away from the screen every time, and it is hard for a horror movie to make me do that. So when they had Space Cop coming out, I really got excited. I thought the trailers were very funny. I couldn't wait. And when it came out, I was initially a bit disappointed. It was funny, but it didn't get me the way that Feeding Frenzy did. And so it sat on my shelf, unwatched again for a couple of years, until recently when I popped it in again. And I don't know if maybe the first time I watched it, I just wasn't in the mood for it. I wasn't ready for it. This time it made me laugh a lot harder. Space Cop is about a cop from the future of space. Rich Evans plays a little bit of like a Demolition Man kind of a part if Demolition Man were a fat schlub. And he ends up going back in time and partnering with a cop who was cryogenically frozen. So they're both in present day. One cop is from the future, one is from the past. And they have to team up to solve this mystery. Mike Stacklasa plays the other cop. And this is a movie that, there are movies where you can tell that the creators, not that they're not trying, but that they are having such a blast that they don't care that their enthusiasm and everything is seeping through the screen and breaking the fourth wall a little bit so that we, the audience, can see that they're enjoying themselves. That's not something that a mainstream Hollywood movie would ever allow. You have to have that veneer in those movies. These guys didn't have to do that. All they had to do was please their fans and their patrons, and I think they did that. The movie, it's shot on the cheap for sure, but it actually has pretty good production values for a movie that goes straight to Blu-ray that people had to fund. It's not like the Angry Video Game Nerd movie or the Channel Awesome movies where they're pushing a character. James Rolfe is sort of like the AVGN movie. It's like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You're taking this sort of niche character and you're building a movie around him. This is not that. This is these guys throwing every gag they can at you, but in that Red Letter Media way, that sort of deadpan humor. It's funny because it's like this is the only way I can think to describe the way these guys have a sense of humor. They've got the wackiness, right? They've got the whoa kind of moments where somebody falls down or something happens, right? But the reaction from the other person is not whoa in response. The reaction from the other person is sort of deadpan, dry, sarcastic. They're not playing that simplistic kind of humor. It's almost as if they're mocking it. We're going to have this joke that in another movie would be very big and broad and wide, and then we're going to just sort of react to it with a raised eyebrow. And that is a kind of humor that not everybody gets. And there's no way that this could have ever been a mainstream theatrical release. But for people who love Red Letter Media, this is a must own. You have to see Space Cop. It is not as good as Feeding Frenzy. If I were to recommend one movie for you to see from Red Letter Media, it would be Feeding Frenzy. But Space Cop is a completely worthy addition to their filmography. It's been a few years now since this was released, and I haven't heard any more talk about another movie. It seems that they're very focused on just the content that they're putting out on YouTube. That has always bothered me a little bit when people, for instance, James Rolfe, he gets the AVGN movie made, and I thought, okay, this will be his springboard into a more mainstream Hollywood kind of a thing. And he never really followed up on it. And it's been many years now, and I don't think I've heard anything about a follow-up movie. Um, and maybe that's something that they're okay with. Maybe Mike and Jay and James Rolfe and Doug Walker and all those guys, they're just happy putting out their videos. They make a lot of money doing it, and they're not looking to break into the mainstream. I think I've always wondered what would happen if they did. If these guys were handed 10 million bucks and said, go make a movie. Maybe it would be terrible. Maybe it would be them selling out and it would be unwatchable. Maybe it would be an instant classic. I don't think we're ever going to know because they're very happy doing what they do. Space Cop, again, it's not the funniest movie in the world. It's not even the funniest movie in their filmography. But it is a must-watch for all fans of Red Letter Media. And for that, I am going to give Space Cop 3 out of 5 stars. Seek it out. I'm pretty sure you can still buy the Blu-ray. Go to their website, redlettermedia.com. You'll probably be able to get it there. I don't think you can buy it through Amazon or anything, but definitely through their website. Seek it out. It's well worth watching for a good, solid laugh and to see a few real comedic geniuses really do their thing.
Their worlds. Sort of gave myself the challenge of, okay,